May I play with you, monsieur?
A lot of this history is not known.
I hope this won't be embarrassing for you. What the fuck is that?
Joseph Bologne was both a real composer and a virtuosic violin player in pre-revolutionary France. He was hugely influential and well regarded by many of his musical contemporaries.
And of course, the music will be spectacular. Bold. He moved with such confidence and strength. I realized the more I excelled, the less I was alone.
Chevalier tells the story of a person who is an outsider by definition, who feels that if he excels, that he will be accepted by that society.
He wins over the approval of the king and the queen.
I, Marie Antoinette, Queen of France, hereby anoint you, Joseph Bologne, Chevalier.
I think she recognizes that he deserves to be in what she sees as a very regal environment within the court, and she thinks he deserves to be within that, but also because he's her friend and she really wants to keep him close.
The show-off who spoiled Mozart's concert.
His reputation grew. He became a bit of a celebrity. His company was much sought after. Even though Joseph was invited to participate in the upper echelons of French society, there was a conditionality to it.
In any other country, a man of your color would not be wearing such fine clothes.
We connected through what it's like to be in spaces that aren't necessarily catered to you.
I think it's a real shame that I didn't know about him, and I'm very glad that I know about him now.
You cannot afford to make any more enemies.
A lot of people who had impactful lives are left out of this larger historical narrative. Our movie is interested in reclaiming some of those voices. A lot of this history is not known.
Music school, his name was never mentioned.
Here's a man who undoubtedly is one of the most incredible composers of all time.
We were building a man whose history has been erased.
And of course, the music will be spectacular. Bold. When I heard about him and that he was a composer of classical music who was mixed race and born in Guadeloupe and was living in Paris, I was really struck that there would be some guy whose background was in any way similar to mine, who was writing back in the time of Mozart.
May I play with you, monsieur?
Chevalier's musical imprint on the world at the time and his contemporaries was huge. He, in fact, is reputed to have shared an apartment with Mozart, who is about 13 years younger than Joseph.
I hope this won't be embarrassing for you.
It's crazy that he preceded Mozart, and now the article comes up and says the Black Mozart, as if he came up after, as if he was copying Mozart or any of that.
There are some really tricky, showy passages in his writing. Many violinists have expressed to me just how fun and surprisingly challenging it is to play.
What the fuck is that?
The thing that was so heartbreaking when I was doing research about him is learning about how much of his music was lost, with Napoleon purposely destroying a lot of his music.
I'm putting on a concert that is fun, the revolution.
With that, there's so much of his genius that will never be found again. And so there are pieces that I would see on his catalog list that maybe even survived that destruction, but nobody's ever recorded them.
We think of classical music as being old-fashioned or for high society. But at the time, that was the art of the day. That's the top 40.
It's pulling from all these different references of these Black rock stars that we love and adore and giving it to Joseph as he was the rock star of his time.
It's important for the audience to see his story taking place inside that understanding. He can shred on his axe just the way any guitarist could.
Making his name as ubiquitous as any other great composer, I think that can only be done by making sure that we're playing his music, we're recording his music, and furthering that, and talking about it for sure.
I really am honored to have a chance to tell his story. He's not a made-up character, he's a real guy. I'm so glad that it's coming to the screen, and people need to know about him.
Joseph is a confident young man. Word of his existence in society circles in Paris spread. He was a very desired companion.
Marie Antoinette is friends with Joseph Bologne. He's her music tutor, and then they become very close.
Joseph.
She was 14 when she entered the French court. She's been so heavily judged because of her behavior without the context of her age. And so I really wanted to bring that context into play.
Someone get him a shiny sash or something. Let's make this festive.
40 barrel take 2, A on way.
La Guimard, she's an artist. She has an enormous amount of power with the Queen and with the public.
There's no finer voice in opera.
You're right.
Guimard recognizes what an extraordinary talent Joseph is, and she wants to be part of that.
I think it's time we collaborated.
But she's a product of her time and a function to show how, as a man of color in the French court, it doesn't matter how talented he is.
Because you don't belong here.
She doesn't like him.
It turns out I quite despise being spoken for. Marie-Josephine, she's been sort of sold off by her father and didn't have any say in it. Her only real escape is through music. She's an opera singer and she wants to sing in Chevalier's opera.
She's captivating, is she not? My cousin.
Their love of music and an understanding of each other's pain develops into love.
Nanon is Joseph's mother, and once they're separated, there is a loss that Nanon experiences that consumes her. All those years that she spends separate from him is a real chasm. But then she gets to Paris and it's like, it's strained and she has to relearn her son. She has to relearn herself. She needs him.
I want it to feel contemporary, even though it's happening in the 1700s, from set design, costumes, hair and makeup.
When we're in the aristocratic spaces, there's a lot of gold and a lot of pastel. It shows a level of opulence.
I wanted it to look like artwork, keeping it authentic to the period, but with a definite contemporary twist, using the placement of the colours, getting that old school Hollywood glamour.
Welcome to Paris, Joseph.
Monsieur, I fear this will not be a kind place to such a boy.
The boy has talent, but one in particular that is exceptional.
Very well.
I realized the more I excelled, the less I was alone.
Were you always so competitive?
The show-off who spoiled Mozart's concert.
May I play with you, monsieur?
Well, I hope this won't be embarrassing for you. Who the hell is that?
You are quite a remarkable man, Joseph. I, Marie Antoinette, Queen of France, hereby anoint you Chevalier.
In any other country, a man of your colour would not be wearing such fine clothes.
One day, the whole world will know me. And of course, the music will be spectacular. Bold.
You don't belong here. You're a party trick. You're a pet, playing the violin, that is all.
You know I am the best.
You are playing a dangerous game, friend.
You forget your place, boy. Break his hands.
This world is painful for us, my son. But there is always the choice to fight.
I'm putting on a concert. Let us fund the revolution.
You cannot afford to make any more enemies.
France is changing.
You could be more influential than you know. Leverage it.
If you take to the stage, you will be erased. There will be no new France. You cannot topple what has been ordained by God.
Not everything is about you people.